The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party. We also have the Iceman back.
Yeah.
Who says he wants to start right off the bat with something, right?
It's his turn, so
His
just
turn.
don't talk.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
Right now. Okay.
Okay.
So in 2014, there was a
Going way back. Okay.
in New Jersey. It was a horse track, and it was a horse race, and it was nothing special about the race, but there were two horses in the race. One, the name of the horse was called "My Wife Knows Everything," and there was another horse called "The Wife Knows Nothing." And I got it here. Listen to the commentator call the race, and hopefully this thing works.
This is a little bit of a surprise.
Macho is in second. After that comes
Can you hear
My
this?
Wife Knows
Yeah.
Everything in third. On the far outside, The Wife Doesn't Know is moving up and is now fourth, and right alongside of My Wife Knows Everything. My Wife Knows Everything and The Wife Doesn't Know are moving together on the far turn, and they're coming after Lady Mutada coming to the quarter pole. Lady Mutada in front. Here come My Wife Knows Everything, and The Wife Doesn't Know on the far outside. Little Miss Macho is fourth. They're into the stretch. Lady Mutada, My Wife Knows Everything. Center of the track, The Wife Doesn't Know. Into the final furlong. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. They're 1-2. Of course they are. My Wife Knows Everything in front. To the outside, The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. The Wife Doesn't Know. My Wife Knows Everything. More than The Wife Doesn't Know. Miss Tallahassee was third.
You can't even make that up.
Yeah. That was a real race.
Yes.
That's
And
hysterical.
he just called it on the spot.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he was good, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Didn't break.
Didn't break at all.
Didn't break
It was
at all.
probably his horses.
I know, it was something.
Imagine if that was like the Kentucky Derby or something.
I know,
Yeah,
I
just be
know.
like,
All right, if you had a bet on one of those horses, which one would you bet on?
My wife knows
doesn't know.
nothing. My wife knows nothing.
a wife knows nothing.
Right. That's what I would have bet on.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
way.
There must have
bet
been the
he
same
knows
owner of the
everything.
two horses.
It would
Yeah.
have to be.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah,
You know?
that was pretty good.
Unless he had two wives and one didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And
Now,
that
you
would
could
make
really
sense.
run with some of those names if you really wanted to.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would have put another horse in. That's not my mistress.
And that is my mistress. That's not my mistress.
Whenever
I figured that's what Miss Tallahassee was there.
That is
I
my
know
trophy
that.
wife. That is not my trophy wife.
Yeah, and every time I show that or talk about that, most women go, "I bet my wife knows everything." One.
What? Yeah.
Well, that's where you're
No,
wrong.
So this
Because
is the thing.
your
is,
wife doesn't know anything.
as a wife,
As a wife.
Yeah.
Yep.
turns out I didn't know anything.
We'll save that for another time, right?
And the only one qualified to make that statement.
That's right.
Would be moi.
Yeah.
Yep.
I actually have a request for Tony.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we're in October, and I know you do your Rocktober.
Not Rocktober, yeah.
Okay, so the request is this. You may have done it. If you did, I missed it.
Yeah.
These three guitar players are about the same genre, and they're incredible. And that's Stevie Ray Vaughan,
Yeah.
Gary Moore, Joe Bonamassa. So the request is if you can put them together on
Yeah,
one
all right,
guitar.
I'll do a Guitar Heroes.
Did you
Yes.
ever do Stevie Ray Vaughan?
I have done Stevie
Yeah,
Ray
that's
Vaughan
what I
in
think.
the past.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
And I got a request for you too.
Go ahead.
Wow.
It's either Barry Manilow.
No. Barry Manilow.
Kenny G.
No, you missed that in Sappy September.
Yeah. This is rock and roll.
So,
yeah.
so
This is
Billy
rock and roll.
Billy Joel
Joel's
was in
out.
September.
Here's the thing. If you ever see me post anything positive about Billy Joel, you know I've been kidnapped.
Yes.
And
We'll go
forced
check
to
on
do
you.
it.
Yeah.
Or
do a
hacked.
well,
Or hacked.
All right,
do a
how about-
wellness check.
How about Rod Stewart?
You know, I
He's
would give.
kind of-
Here's the thing. I would give Rod Stewart a nod only because of his early work.
Right. Good
with
point.
Faces and Small Faces.
Right.
And it's where we got Ron Wood too.
Yeah,
that
that's right.
Later became a Rolling Stone.
Yep.
So Maggie
over from
May,
Mick Taylor.
that
Yeah.
area,
Yeah.
that era. Every Picture Tells
Genius.
a Story is one of my favorite rock and roll songs
Yep.
of all time.
Yep.
You know,
when
so
he got into "Do You Think I'm Sexy?"
sexy, yeah.
Well,
that
Just
got a
how
little-
he-
right, that got a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
He tried to adapt to the disco
Yeah,
era.
and and he had a big hit with the New York song, Downtown Train.
Yes.
Yes.
And
then he did some CCR. Didn't he?
he did some of that.
Have you ever
Yeah.
seen The Rain,
Yeah.
which is a great
Yeah,
rendition
does
of that song?
He's a good interpreter. And
One of the
stuff
best
like
videos ever is Rod Stewart and Amy Bell.
that. Yeah.
Just look that up. That's all.
Yeah.
Patti LaBelle?
No.
Amy Bell.
No. Rod Stewart.
I'm
and
only
Amy,
joking.
Amy Bell. She's from Scotland.
Yeah, but happy Rocktober, everybody.
Yeah,
We're
I can't
right in the
wait
middle
to
of it.
see
Yeah,
your
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Can you give us any preludes to it?
No.
You know, this year.
Yes, he can.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I can tell you this year. I mean, sometimes I get into long things about my favorite bands or whatever. And this year, I'm going to just rely heavily on song lyrics that have touched me over the years.
So you're turning it personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not written that way. I'm just putting lyrics out there.
But we
and
know
and
you have an emotional side, too.
Can you put Jimmy Buffett's Migration on?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I have a
He's
soft
not
spot
a
for
rock and roll.
No, but I have a yacht rock.
Well, you just said
him-
there's going to be more lyrics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, Migration.
Yeah.
Migration.
How about
Today's
it's 5
lyric-
o'clock somewhere?
Yeah. Like recently I posted, so pull out your gold teeth and see how they roll. The answers that they reveal. Life is unreal.
Who is that? I didn't.
That's Steely Dan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love
Dan's
Steely
still
Dan.
around.
Yeah, and they're still around.
Yeah.
But that lyric just, it's like something that sticks out to me. And there's a couple songs like that, more than a couple that
Right.
have meant something to
So
me.
you're going
over
with
the years.
lyrics. That's
Yeah.
nice.
I like it.
Well, seeing that we're on lyrics.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
rock-
not the crab. Not the crab.
No.
We can put that to music. If we can put the crab story, like give
It'll
it
only take 25 minutes to
give it a-
tell the
we can
story.
give
Oh,
it a-
that's not what he said to us. This will
no.
just take a couple
Couple
seconds.
seconds.
Yeah.
25 minutes
Well, like
later.
this.
I switched to metric. That's why.
we can give it a Gordon Lightfoot.
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
That's right.
Story
That's right.
song.
Oh, you
yeah.
could have put Gordon Lightfoot,
Yeah.
like something.
Yeah,
like
the record that
He's
He's
not a rock and
Thunder.
roller.
Yeah. Well, that was a good
Just
song.
like Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
So when we talk about lyrics, and a lot of lately we heard about, and Tony could probably talk to this, the writers' strike.
Yeah.
Can you go in more detail as to why they strike?
Why the writers struck?
It's just all about money and benefits.
I can tell you one reason, because
Yeah.
and I'll let Tony, he's the expert, but the streaming, the
Yeah,
money
they're
they
not
make on
getting,
this
yeah, it's
streaming.
about residuals.
Yeah, the
and stuff
residuals.
like
Okay,
that.
all right.
And AI. For years, producers have tried to cut writers out of the loop completely.
Okay.
They'll buy a property and then hire somebody else to mold it into what they want. And writers want, if they're passionate about their product, they want to stay involved. But for years, producers have been trying to get them out of it. So,
Really?
Yeah. Oh, this goes back to the 80s and 90s. And a lot of it is to do with the streaming platforms now. Because when this last contract was ratified, the streaming content, they hid behind, well, we don't produce content. We only purchase content. So it's not our whole, we don't have a horse in this race to keep in line with what we're talking about. And now Netflix is one of the biggest producers of content, as is Apple and Hulu and all of them.
Paramount.
So they were getting through loopholes. A buddy of mine, and I think I might have said this, I don't know if I'm repeating myself, but a buddy of mine posted, he wrote an episode of a show that was on Dish Network, blah, blah, blah. And he got a residual check when it reran for $23.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
And in the past,
he wrote it?
And he wrote it. On the network, you would get the equivalent of what you got.
Right.
Coupled with the fact now they're only doing, 8 or 10 episode seasons instead of 23.
Yep.
And then they wanted to see if AI could write content, cutting the writers out completely.
Wow.
So those are the major issues. And
Okay.
That's
they
lousy.
say-
It's like if you wrote a book
Yeah.
and then they just, reproduced it.
Yeah, mass
Yeah.
produced
Say, well,
it
no,
on
you didn't
Amazon.
write this one.
Or you say, here's Moby Dick. Write me something similar to
Similar.
Moby Dick that we don't have to pay for the rights for
Right.
Moby Dick.
Right.
Right.
It's like that, and it gets worse. And with the actors, it's and we're still on strike. They just went back to the table.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, but they want to get background actors, use them one day, capture your image, and then own that image in perpetuity.
Really?
Yeah,
Right. That's wrong.
that's wrong.
Right,
So-
because then you wouldn't get your 1 cent
Johnny's an
checks.
actor.
Right.
Johnny's
Yeah.
been in several films.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm not
So
making
that's
that
it
up.
in a nutshell.
Yeah, I was an extra. What? Enjoy. I carried that moment.
Yeah. Listen, it's the journey of a 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
That just reminded. We were talking about royalties or residuals. Yeah, Led Zeppelin's song "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You."
Yeah.
Robert Plant heard that.
None of which they ever wrote.
No,
but that's another story.
right. Joan Baez sang it, and it was a folk song. And Robert Plant said, "He goes, we're going to take this song and we're going to blow it up." And they did. And then Jimmy Page is like, "All right, who we give credit to?" Like he looks at hers. I think it said like "Standard" or something like that. He's like, "I don't know who to give it credit to." And then like 25 years later. So what happened? Joan Baez got the verbiage from a friend whose college roommate wrote it. So she's like, all right. 25 years later, the person who wrote it, her son was listening to Led Zeppelin, that song. She's
Right.
like, I know that
That's
song.
my mother's song.
So Jimmy Page caught wind of it and is giving her
Paid
credit.
him up,
Yep,
yeah. And some money, I would hope. You know, they ripped off Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, they get sued all the time.
They get sued all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, any guy who knows the blues knows every riff they've ever done.
Robert Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
I think
old
they
stuff.
seem to borrow some
Don't
of
get
his-
me started.
Well, who was it?
We got to talk real estate. Don't get me started.
Well, I heard,
We could talk.
What? Real estate? What's that?
We could digress a little
Well, there
today.
was
We've
a
had a
song,
lot of hard-hitting information
Uh,
lately.
Ian Anderson.
Jethro Tull.
Jethro
Right.
Tull.
You know, the Eagles used to kind of hang out with them. And there was like one song that there was some riffs that sounded just like it. And then they asked Ian about it. He's like, you know what? I mean, there's so many things, and they may have been influenced by it. He's like,
Right.
I'm not going to get worked up. They can have it.
Right,
you know?
right.
Well, it's like those, like, you know, the Rod Stewart and Britney Spears, or not that
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
but
yeah.
Elton John
Yeah, yeah.
and Dua Lipa.
Yeah.
And, like, he must be getting, you know, like,
Sure.
you can hear the song,
Similarities.
the similarities in the
Right, right.
songs, like, you know, Yellow Brick Road
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or how about the band? They were feuding a lot at the end.
Over the credit for music.
They said
We
Robbie
all wrote it,
Robertson
yeah.
seems to be taking all the credit, but
Yeah.
we were all just sitting around jamming,
collective.
and we all kind of came up
Yeah.
with this song.
And then-
But all of a sudden, it's being produced and written by
But Robbie Robertson.
You know, so
yeah,
there's a good document.
they took that to their grave. I mean,
Oh, I
Levon
know.
Helm was very
upset.
They were very upset over that whole situation.
Ever see the movie?
And by the way, Ian Anderson, amongst the best one-legged flautists in rock and roll.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Well, how many?
I know. He's in the top 5.
Not that he has one leg, but he hops around on one leg.
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
I was going to say, how many
Yeah,
one-legged
legged
flautists
flautists.
are there
Yeah.
around?
Eric Clapton's Layla.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great song.
Yeah.
They have a little add-on at the very end.
Yeah,
And they always gave the drummer the credit for that.
right.
Supposedly, that was Rita Coolidge wrote that. And never gave her credit for
Wow.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they-
But a lot of people have duplicated Layla in
it.
different.
Oh, yeah, you can sing it or play it, but
Yeah.
they always give credit. But
Right.
yeah, there's a band called the Wallflowers.
Yeah.
yeah.
And that actually.
Do you know who that son is?
Yeah, it's
You'll get it.
yeah, I'll get this.
You'll get it.
The poet is my age showing.
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan's son.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have a song, Three Marlenas.
Yeah.
And it's Sweet Jane. Just,
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
And
right.
it's just Sweet Jane.
Oh, good point.
Like slowed down.
Yeah.
And I actually called a jock on it one day. I go, it's Sweet Jane. I knew this disc jockey. He goes, I never really thought about it. And they play Sweet Jane right afterwards. He goes, oh my God, Tony V's right. It's Sweet Jane.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
No, that happened. I was listening to Roger Waters. He said he was in the theater watching Phantom of the Opera, and there was like a 7-second piece of the music. He's sitting there. He goes, that's my song. That's my piece from Echoes. That bastard.
Right. The Phantom of the Opera hasn't been around.
Who's
Right.
one of the most famous rock and rollers who got sued for supposedly plagiarizing another song?
Oh, what, Vanilla Ice? That one?
Oh, that one doesn't.
Ice.
No,
He tried to defend
One
that
of the
one.
most,
Dun, 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 dun,
one of the originals that got sued.
John Fogerty.
John Fogerty, you
Had
know
to sue
why?
him, he had to sue himself.
Yeah, he got sued because he sounded too much like himself.
Like himself.
Right,
He had to play
right.
his own music in court
Yeah.
to prove that he was him.
sued
Yeah.
by
The record company.
people
Yeah.
saying,
That's not him.
no, it was him.
It was
but
him.
It says you sound too much like yourself.
Yourself. And we own the rights to your music.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, who's another one?
Uh,
One of the most famous musicians ever. Well, in my mind.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton.
Close. George Harrison.
Oh, George.
Oh, all right.
My
Sweet
Sweet
My
Lord.
Sweet Lord.
My Sweet Lord, yeah.
'Cause,
Where did that come from?
He's so fine.
He's so fine.
Oh,
And he lost the
Same
case. And
cadence, yeah.
George Harrison's so upset. He says, "I'll never listen to music ever again."
Yeah.
You brought up Joe Bonarosa.
yeah.
Why do you think? Where do you think he had one of the best soul? Well, it's actually not soul. Guitar with Eric Clapton at like Prince Hall. You ever hear that one? Further on up the road
Really?
with Eric Clapton.
Oh, wow.
You got to hear that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
You got to hear that. So, wow, I think we're getting a lot of
I
information.
know this
out
is
today.
Rick's favorite subject.
I know. I could do this all
I got to
day
listen
long.
to that. I saw him. I saw John a few years ago.
All right, what's your
he was in
those
the
three?
King-
Where would you put those three then? Since you brought it up.
They're like all neck and probably Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
He's just like the guitar's part of him.
Yeah.
It's like another.
Did you ever hear his version of Cat People live with Bowie?
I don't
No.
think so.
The guitar in that is off the charts. It's
Wow.
just amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
I saw him live with Johnny Copeland in Stevie's Tin Pan Alley, and Stevie's like playing. You could see Johnny Copeland's jaw just drop, just watching.
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
His brother Jimmy plays a lot.
You know, Prince was no slouch on the guitar.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
They asked Eric Clapton once, how
Yeah.
do you feel to be the best guitar player in the world?
Well,
He
yeah.
says, go ask Prince.
Prince, yeah.
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 Very prolific. Yeah.
But would you consider him a rock star? See, that's the problem with
No,
Prince,
but
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where I
He
put
had
his
some
music.
weird-
It's like
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen's a real good guitar player.
Yeah, you never see it.
You never
but
see it.
He can do it, you know.
Most underrated guitarist who I think made the Rolling Stones. Can you guess?
Oh, Mick.
Mick Taylor.
Mick Taylor, yeah.
And they ceremoniously axed him because, I mean,
Well, he couldn't, keep his eyes open.
Okay.
He was trying to keep up with Keith Richards.
I'm going to be
time waits for no one.
I'm going to be the
Can't you
bad
get me
cop.
knocking?
Oh,
The bad cop right now. You people have wasted 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
I mean, 18 minutes.
yeah. It's not a waste,
You're
Kat.
calling that a waste? I know,
No.
really. That's
We've
kind of
just
insulting.
Look, I
educated.
can see all the likes and loves. That's oh my God, it's off the
Did we
charts.
talk for Barry Manilow for 18 minutes?
Yeah.
Have you been
No.
happy with that?
Yes. We could do a sing-along.
That's why I see
No, let's get to real estate. Then all right, so do you want me to do some stuff?
Yeah.
You might have to come back at some
All
point.
right,
Do you want me to
I'm
throw
outta
out some
here.
questions?
Yeah, throw out some
no.
I'm leaving.
No, I talk music all day. You know that.
All right, we can't talk music
No.
all day. Maybe we don't bring her on next week.
Yeah.
and we'll
And you
talk
know what?
more.
That's fine.
all right.
She's
That's
such,
fine.
she's such a disruptor.
Maybe we should have did a trigger warning. We're just going to talk about music this whole show.
All right, I got something.
Go ahead.
I got something really important that's going to hopefully come up.
All right, let's see.
Is questions people ask when they want to refinance. How's
Okay.
that?
Yep.
All
Because
right.
the refinances are starting to come back.
I know.
In a one-way, shape, or
so
form.
should I throw this out?
Yeah.
Start throwing this stuff out to you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. So is there any mathematical formula when someone should refinance? How much should they be saving?
I say $100 a month.
Yeah, but if it costs you $5,000 to get that $100 a month,
Right.
it's going to be 50
Well,
months.
right,
50
depending
months
on how
before
many
you can make
points.
cool.
Okay, then.
Right.
Should we go back to the
That's
rock
a
and roll?
question. No.
No, so if you're going to do
right.
a rate
What-
and
I
term,
have a.
You have the
it's not.
answer.
It's not a mathematical formula. It's an emotional formula. You got to
Oh.
ask why you are doing this.
Okay.
I will give you an example.
Okay.
Husband and wife getting divorced. Husband wants.
Eric Clapton and Jim.
oh my God,
Layla.
Mrs. Clapton.
cut this whole thing, Chrissy. We are done here.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh.
So let's say the husband's moving out and it says, I want $200,000, based on the appraisal and all that. And so they have like a 2.5% rate, and then they go by today's, say, 7% rate, 7.5%. The wife's like, Jesus, if we do this, my payments are going to go like $800 a month. Let's call it $1,300 a month. There's no way we're going to do it. right? But yet they want to get divorced, and the husband says, I want to move on at all costs. So I say to the husband, all right, how long are you going to wait to refinance? He said, I don't know, 2-3 years. All right. So how about this? You want $200,000. Clearly you're not getting it today, right? Right. But you need some money. I do. He goes, all right. So I just said the difference in the payment's going to cost you $15,000 a year. So you wanted to wait 3 years. There's $45,000.
Right.
What you're going to do is you're going to take $155,000 instead of the $200,000, and that $45,000 you're going to give back to your wife to fund the difference. And he's like, well, $45,000 is a lot of money. I go, so is an $155,000 in your pocket today, right now. You're not getting $200,000. You just said that. Plus, your goal, you said you wanted to move on at all cost. At all cost.
$45,000 cost.
It costs you $45,000.
Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about $45,000. You just hate the idea of not getting that extra $45,000.
Right.
And the only reason why that $200,000 was on the table was because the rates were so low. Because the rates were so low, more people were bidding on houses, which has helped driving up the whole industry.
Right.
You know, you want to wait 3 years. What happened for your wife to refinance? What if she gets into a position she cannot qualify to refinance?
Exactly. She doesn't have a job.
Right. And then you're thinking about this. Maybe you're in sales. Maybe you're a business owner. $15,000 a year will be nothing compared to your lack of productivity in sales.
Right.
You know.
Oh, you really hit him hard.
Yeah. Well, I go by their goals, their vision.
He's a salesman.
I guess so.
He had the raw numbers and he worked with them.
You know, here we go, $155 in your lap right now. Or not. No, I'll give it back. I'll take it now. That's what I thought you said.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
And let's be honest, $45,000 to get rid of a spouse, that's
cheap.
That's chump money.
Well, and it didn't even come out of your pocket. Again, it's just the
fictitious,
idea.
right.
So the question to the husband is, would you give $45,000 to get $155,000?
100%.
Of
Today,
course.
in your pocket.
That's called
right now.
In poker, that's called pot odds.
All right.
And you have the pot odds in that case.
That's right.
So, and then I say, if it really bothers you, so you take the $155,000. I understand CDs are paying 5% guaranteed, $7,500 a year, 3 years, $22,500. That's half your $45,000. Now you're down $22,500.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Wow.
Guaranteed.
And you don't have to worry about
Wow.
It's getting very emphatic
You don't have to
now.
worry about repairs on the house or
what your wife is doing in the house.
yeah.
You don't have to,
or the mortgage. You don't have to worry about the mortgage not being paid on time.
Right.
You know, things like that.
and you can stop hearing how stupid you are.
That's right. There's that too. And you can
Because-
move on.
What's that worth?
You can move
That's
on.
worth a lot of money.
Again, you said your goal, I want to move on at all costs.
But there's also some scary parts of staying on the note and the mortgage
Yeah.
as an ex-spouse, right?
Yep.
Because maybe she stops paying the mortgage.
That's right.
Or let's
And then
turn it
you're on
around.
the hook?
Yeah,
course you are.
it'll ruin your credit.
Yeah.
She could set out to ruin, or he could set out to ruin her credit.
That's what I mean.
vice
So he could
versa.
just move on. So it's not holding. It's not on the top of your mind.
Right,
You
if
can
you-
just move on with
you
your
want
life.
a clean break, this is it.
I never see spouses really bitter at each other.
No.
But in the case there was one.
Right,
No, most divorces are very amicable.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
They
what
would never want to harm the other.
Whatever
Yes,
you
honey.
want,
Yes.
sweetie.
Oh, you have a
Yes.
girlfriend?
Oh,
That's nice. That's good for you.
She's nice.
GFY.
That's why I married her, because I knew it would be a good exit strategy. You know, she'd make a great ex-wife.
Yeah.
I know we've told this story a million times, but it fits in well. The guy refinancing and shows up on his credit report. He's got a Victoria's Secret's credit card.
Credit card, yeah.
My wife's not going to see this.
And the
is
wife
she?
said, "Yeah, I know. We used to get calls. Says, well, yeah, she's gonna be signing anything." And so the wife did see it this time. She goes, "I don't have a Victoria's Secret credit card."
boy.
I go, "Oh boy."
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
If that's not the single most stupid thing I've ever heard today,
Today?
What?
How much?
that the husband pulls a Victoria's Secret card,
How much under?
credit card.
I never got one.
How much?
You paid cash.
Well, that's what I mean.
Here's what I want to know: how much are you ladies spending on underwear?
Yeah.
You know,
No, the question is, how much is he spending
I-
not on
Underwear
her?
for her, not
Not
for
on
his
her
wife.
underwear,
She
yeah.
has Walmart underwear.
Yeah, I just spent
This is going to
30.
be my book, by the way.
I just spent $30 on J. Crew
$30,
second.
huh? You, Mr. Shopper.
4 pairs of J. Crew seconds, and I'm perfectly happy.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
As
No
long as
elastic left.
No.
as long as we know what is the irregularities in them.
I haven't.
No hole in the
there's
front?
there's no hole in the front. You got to go over the top.
I mean, it's not too much of a burden, actually. You know, so you know, if you're getting that such a good deal on it,
It's got a leg hole.
one.
Nothing you can't work with.
Nothing you can't work
you can
with,
work
so-
around anything.
So,
sure. That'll last me for
So to
6
answer,
years.
hopefully that answered your question.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't. No, it did. It did.
No, like when
No. When this is in the future when rates are going to be. No, yes. I'm sorry.
Coming
So
down.
if you have a
Yeah.
7%, right?
Yes.
I think the rule of thumb used to be
2%
It
down.
used to go down 1%, but now I'm thinking more like 2%.
Well, it depends. If you're doing it with no closing costs, absolutely no closing costs, even if it's $50.
Oh, we used to
still-
have people do it for
Yeah.
a 1/4%.
The thing is, like,
Yeah.
I'm seeing the refinances that I'm seeing don't have no closing costs. Like,
Yeah.
big-
Yeah, I know. There's lots of closing costs. But what's happening now is people are refinancing either for equity buyout, what I just talked about, or they just need cash. I'm telling you, see what's happening now is this year everybody's charging up their credit cards, paying the minimum.
Right.
Next year, bankruptcy attorneys are going to be busy.
Yeah.
as all heck. And so
Yeah.
people will now, all right, so now they
and
get-
so are divorce attorneys.
Yeah.
with
and
the
short sale attorneys.
Have you ever noticed that no matter what the climate is financially, lawyers do very well?
they do.
except maybe us.
Except for real estate
yeah,
attorneys.
No, you guys
Yeah, we
do all right.
we're
We do.
holding our
You
own.
do
doing
your
all
own.
right.
Well, because you're the top of the heap.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I'm
very
the top of the
much.
heap.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
No, you're the top of the heap.
Oh, I appreciate it. I wanted Tony to say that when he was at the SNU the other day.
That you were the top.
In front of 15,000
just-
people. Or come out with a Carter Law Office T-shirt.
Well, if you gave me a Carter Law T-shirt, I would have worn one.
Well, what
Now
it is,
you think of it.
Now I think of it.
well, what it is, with most attorneys focus on price. Carter Law Office focus on advice.
Right.
Yeah.
See,
Wow.
yeah.
Price
Can we
versus-
add that to the bottom of the shirt?
I gotta go. I gotta take a shower.
Is it price or advice? We provide advice, not price.
Can we,
So honestly,
maybe we'll bring Johnny back, but can we ask Tony a little bit about SNU the other
But
day?
hang on one second.
Okay.
I think a lot of attorneys do focus
You know
on
she's
price.
serious
Yeah.
when she does the
But like
finger.
Carter
She's
Law
pointing the
Office,
finger. You know how I feel
there
about
is
that.
some closings we actually, or a lot of closings, or some closings that we're in the red because we put so much work into a set price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially these refinances we're putting.
I got a
as-
closing done yesterday. It took me 3 days to close.
Right. And
But,
then, like,
huh.
these refinances are hard because they are divorces. And, you know what I mean? Now you're dealing with 2 different attorneys when this is supposed to be a cash out refinance to us, you know?
and that's like one of my pet peeves. As I was reading this article, they're talking about, people's different commissions, whatever, and they said how refinances, should be so much easier than purchases, and I'm like, where
I know.
world
They
are you
used
in?
to be.
Yeah.
They used to be.
No, I know.
Yeah,
We get that
seems
call,
like
too.
seems like a slam dunk. You're just trying to lower your payments.
They're not. So the ones
Yeah.
that are coming down
Right.
through our office now are people that are in a situation where they need the cash to buy out their ex-wife
Or
I
pay
see.
off
Yeah.
attachments.
or pay,
or pay off
they're
a lot
in
of bunch of things.
and they weren't able to
Yeah.
refinance in the great market.
Yeah.
So by definition, our refinances are tough.
Whatever happened to the age-old just suffer in silence?
Why let everyone else know, right? Just take it on. You
just
brought
take
it on.
You married them. You stuck with them. You made a vow.
You took
Just
out that
live your
credit card that-
live your miserable life.
and
And
don't
shut
tell
up.
anybody.
Don't tell anybody. How are you doing? Fine. That's all. I'm fine.
That's I saw like a YouTube. There was from Maul was doing from the Three Stooges was doing a survey, and he's knocking on the door. Excuse me, are you happy or are you married? And there's one guy. All of a sudden you see this frying pan come flying out the door. You're happy.
Boy.
If we can't end on a mo,
And that always
well, the
reminds me of
priest-
that song.
Which
if
one?
you want to be happy for the rest of your life.
Never make a pretty
Pretty
girl.
world.
Yo,
She's
life.
ugly. She sure can cook.
Man, your wife, she ugly.
She can cook.
Wow, that song resonated with you two. Johnny, you might have to come back.
All right.
I think we're going to have to ask.
I'm not going to
Kat-
change though.
We We never do.
You've never changed. All right. Thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party.
Oh, my God. That was exhausting.
I know. Tony V.
Yeah.
Kathy H. And the Iceman John Marroni. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Hopefully back with Johnny Marroni.
Rock
Bye-bye.
on, everybody.
Rock on.
Rock on.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.